Thank you, everybody. Just a reminder, since we have a lot of new folks here today, if you're not getting our newsletter, and this is New York Times bestseller list quality newsletter right here. If you're not getting this every Monday in your email box, let me know. Give me your business card before you go. I'll make sure we add you to the list. And you'll get an announcement every Monday on who the coffee speaker is for the week. You'll have links to their website and their bio on LinkedIn. And then you'll have a list of all upcoming coffee speakers. So if you're not getting this, let me know and I'll add you to the email list. With that, I am delighted to introduce our speaker for today, Wendy Tridle with Organized by Design. So Wendy, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Okay, how many people have put something down and they couldn't find it this morning before they left? Oh, Diane. Yes, the average person loses 3 years of their life because they're trying to find things. So, yes, I'm Wendy Tridle with Organized by Design. Just a little history on me. I have been doing the organizing interior design for 10 years. I started off, and I'm just going to tell you about my path and some things that I've done that I feel as if I've learned along the way. Everything happens for a reason, so a lot of my, I want to say, changes in life got me back to a straight path. But 10 years ago, I started my business and organizing, and the reason why I started is I have an interior design degree and sold office furniture for 10 years. Stayed home after I had my second son, was fortunate enough to do that. Being a social person, out, couldn't sit still. At lunch, my husband called me and say, "Where are you?" And I say, "I'm over at Tanya's house helping her pick out some paint colors." And the next day he calls and he's like, "What's for lunch? Where are you?" "I'm over at, Nancy's house organizing her pantry." And he came home and he goes, "Why don't you start an organizing business?" 10 years ago, I thought, this is a great idea. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this whole thing where I'm going to have this national organizing day because nobody else is doing it. And now you see organizers throughout. So, and so I did it for 5 years, really marketed hard. 80% of the time I did my marketing like you're supposed to. And then 3 years later, I was blessed with another son. So kind of did some organizing on little bit of organizing. And then again, started marketing again. So I feel like right now I'm at this point where it's been 5 years and need to buckle down and start marketing again. But what I do, Organized by Design. I help people organize, downsize, storage solutions, clean out, tidy up. You have some tidy up kits. Lots of people have heard of Marie Kondo. If something doesn't bring you joy, then what do? Let it go. Let it go, yes. So I go into people's homes and I want to say build a relationship. As we know, that's what's so important. So I'm just going to share with you my last experience because I truly think that I learn every day of what I do. My last client, her name is Miss Birdie. She is 83 years old. I went in and have this system that I do, and I met her, did a consultation. She said she has COPD, she can't hardly talk, she can't hardly breathe. I'm going into assisted living and I need some help. My daughter lives in California. My other daughter I don't talk to. And I want to say that's mainly who I get clients from, is people that have the kids that can't commit to helping their parents. So there's always a little factor issues when I organize. Well, I want to say when I organize seniors. So the first day, she said, "I'm putting my house up for sale." And I said, what are you selling it for? And she said, "It's none of your business." I'm like, okay, that means back up. So about 2 weeks later, I asked her again, and she told me 160,000, and we were going through her tax returns. So it's just that relationship building, starting off slow, getting to know them. So then about a couple weeks ago, I came to her house and thinking of her because I'm just hoping she makes it through the weekend. And she gave me this little pin and she said, I want you to have this. And it was a little angel. And she said, you definitely are my angel. I went to visit her yesterday because now she's in assisted living, and she says, my angel is here. So it's very sweet. So I had to share that story. But organizing. Who feels like they have everything under control? They know where everything is. The average home has over 300,000 items. 300,000 items. I do a presentation called Organized Space Equals More Productive Life, and I do go into different facilities, retirement communities usually, and talk to them. So I'm going to just say some facts from my presentation and get some input. In 1975, the average house had 2 bedrooms, 1 car garage. 2017, fast forward 40 years, whatever. Somebody can do better math than I can. 42 years, an accountant, I don't know. 42 years. The average house has 5 bedrooms, 3 car garage. How many percent of people can park their cars in all 3 garages? 75.
Oh.
So now I look at my home. We have a 3-car garage. We have a teenage driver, and he parks outside because we have all the bikes and everything in the garage. That 23% of people purchase off-site storage.
That's those 75 that have clean garages.
Yes.
What was that percentage again?
23% of people this is different than the car garage. 23% of people use off-site storage. So not only can they park their cars in their garage, but they're buying off-site storage. We spent how many dollars last year in organizing solutions? Anybody have any ideas? $7 billion. $7 billion. Okay, now go back to the items. We have 300 items in our home that we have to manage. And then it makes us feel overwhelmed, so we can't find things. There's only 3% of the children in the United States. 3% of the world's population is in the United States. 3%. And we own 40% of the world's toys. The average 12-year-old has 238 toys. They're managing 238 toys. Wow. But anyway, that's a lot of information. So what I do is I go in and we just go in and create that relationship, go through 3 things. I want to say I'll start left to right, and I have a system where I have 5 different bins that I bring in, and I tell people that they need their goal is to trash and donate. If you can't trash and donate, it's not a client for me. Trash and donate, and then another system is recycle and shred. The other one is things to put away and things to go through. So people often have homework, and they often have a bin of things that we need to put away when the session is done. So I do sessions which are usually 3 hours. People lose at about 2.5 hours. So they lose their focus. So 3-hour sessions, try to clean out a room. So if you're looking at a bedroom or a kitchen might take a little bit longer, but Yep, we take everything out and we put it back. I do have employees, so if you're looking for, there's a Jumpstart kit on the Tidy Up. Jumpstart that you can have 2 organizers for 2 hours. That's usually good for garages, a larger project. Interior design. I have an interior design degree, and you do a simple design. This morning I had a client that wanted some extra touches in her living room and wanted some ideas on different colors. So I just put together images, ideas, and then we work through it and simple design. Paint consultation. I have a Sherwin-Williams paint specialist. So people can say a paint color and I'm like, oh, yes, that's a great color. My aunt said, I painted my whole house. I said, what color? And she told me, and I said, well, make sure that you have windows, lots of windows in your room for that paint. So you just start to know those things. Holiday decorating. I also do holiday decorating, and kicking off that, I have several clients that have more than one home, one client that has 8 Christmas trees. So that's a fun job. Love it. And go in and we decorate.
Which garage did they put those
Oh,
Storage unit.
you know,
in? Storage unit.
crazy that you say that, because we live in the country club area, and she said we need to put all of this holiday Christmas stuff in underneath the stairs. And so I did go out and buy some bins. So there's 12 bins that fit perfect. You have to like shimmy them in to make them work, you know. And then what else? Let's see. Let me look at the back of my card, make sure I talked about everything. Remodels, just simple remodels. Knowing how to space plan. People that are moving are a great referral. Help them with their furniture. Sometimes I have realtors that call me and say, hey, I have a client that's really stuck on this area and they don't know how their couch is going to fit. So then I go in and say, okay, we can put it this way, this way, this way, and then it just eases their mind of how everything's going to work when they move. I do a lot of home setups. So as you know, a couple years ago we had a new football team coaches. Some of those people are good clients. The coaches come and then the family is still back home and they bring the moving trucks and we set it up so it's move-in ready. So anyway, yes, so thank you. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts?
Before we do that real quick.
Yeah?
Wendy has a couple of giveaways, so.
Oh, yes.
We'll pass the Perk Up can around, throw your business card in here or a piece of paper with your name on it if you want to be in the drawing. Okay, you got, in the meantime, questions for Wendy?
Joe, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah. What's the number one reason for, that someone might have that you run across for not throwing something away?
Oh, yes. I think that a lot of times people they call me and I say, well, what do you need help with? And it ends up to be, I lost my spouse, or it might be injury, or their parents. It's usually there's a death. And when there's a death, they call me. It's usually 2 to 3 years after the death and want to go through it. One client I had, he said, I have my dad's things, opened up the garage door, and it was completely covered. And he said, my dad has moved he was in memory care. He's 98 years old. And I was like, so he's not coming home. He's not going to be using these things. And to add on to that story, we worked every week on that house for probably 6 months and going through just his dad things item by item. And he found out his dad was a gynecologist in Kansas. He was from Switzerland. He found out that before his dad came to America, he has a half sister. It's amazing what people find and how, I mean, that was just amazing. It's like, what? He was, my client, he is a lawyer, so of course he was very detailed in looking through things too.
We have a social transition going on in our society today where younger people are more minimalist. I come from an ancestry that homesteaded in Vermont prior to the Revolutionary War. And we have dressers and artifacts and things in our home, and my wife's farm was homesteaded in Minnesota before statehood. And so a lot of that stuff got passed down to us. How do you transition that without destroying it? Because there's so much speaking to the children.
Usually what I say is tell your kids that you have things for them, and then give them a disclaimer. If you take this, do not tell me what you're doing with it. So lots of times these kids do not want your stuff. It's just the facts. They don't want your things. They don't want things from 80 years ago. But I always say, just put a bin together. Christmas time, set it on the table, or holiday time, set it on the table. You just go through things and talk about it, and then say who wants it, or give it to them and say, whatever you do with this, I don't want to know. Because I'll tell you, my mom, who's I would say she's a type A personality like me, she has nothing, gives me these bins of my high school yearbooks. I mean, I kept those, but there's other things in there that I was like, I don't know why my mom transferred these to home, because it was not, my high school wasn't the best time of my life, so why am I going to keep those things? I'm not going to look at them.
Yeah, the thing that I need to get rid of, and I tried once and I couldn't find a place to take them. But I've got antique glassware, rose glasses, and all that kind of stuff. Where do you take it?
Good luck.
Thank you.
There's a lot of different places, like the auction house. I know Butler Auction House there. He's actually moving to Indiana, John is. And then there's like Main Street Auction, or there is some antique stores, or I have also provided at the antique mall. I've gotten a space for a client, and by the time we rented the space and we brought things out and they sold some of it, I don't know if they made any money.
Yeah, because I tried to sell some of it and nobody wanted it.
No.
It's my generation that took all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I do have contacts of people that have that do tag sales, or I know that Changing Spaces is on the list too. They are great referrals. I go through, I want to say I'm the hand holder. We go through, Grandma cries because she's going through things of her her husband that had passed. So I kind of go through those things, and then can also Changing Spaces can come in, or tag sales, or there's lots of different options. So I help facilitate that too.
Kind of like a two-part question. What's your biggest challenge with acquiring customers? Then I can think of a handful of people that can use your service. How do you approach them in an unoffensive way?
Yes. Okay. So I say, when I have people call me, they said, my mom you can't even open up her door. She needs help. Okay. Well, your mom is not gonna be willing. It's gonna be a hard transition. So I usually say, I will do a consultation. Decision makers need to be there. This is like I want to say like counseling. It is. This is a hard thing sometimes to go through people's things. So we need to all be on the same page. I want to say I'm a little bit of a mediator, and what is your plan? What is your plan? Let's meet in the middle. Let's get it together. That way, yeah. But yeah, drop them my information, and then say, this might be something that's needed. If you have somebody really close to you, it might just take some time. Lots of times I get calls, and then I hear from them a year later, and somehow they're going to do it themselves. I hear that all the time. Okay, I think I can do this. I can do it myself. And then a year later they call and say, okay, I don't know why I didn't call you. I should have called you earlier. Oh. Any other questions? Yeah.
Sort of on that same note, because my parents are going through this thing. And the issue is that there's an attachment to everything. I look at it and it's junk, so I say throw it. Like how much actual interaction do you need? Because ideally it seems like save, call, pile 1-800 junk, get rid of all of it. But like how much do you actually need from people? Just like to that level?
Sometimes it's as simple as just listening to their story. And I always say, okay, so we'll take Birdie, for example, because she's fresh in my mind that I helped last week. She'll say, this was my grandma's, and it's probably 80 years old, and it's broken. I've glued 3 or 4 times. I really don't know what to do with this. And I was like, okay, let's put it there. And sometimes it's just looking at it back and forth. Or I'll say, you've told me your story, now what do you want to do with it? So I don't want to say that I help people make decisions, but then again, I'm a mediator and say, okay, so what do you want to do with it? You want to keep it, or do you want to donate it? I also have said, okay, so this is the plan. We're going to go through your closet. We're going to count how many black shirts you have. Okay, you have 25. Okay, I had this one client that had 6 closets. You have 25 black shirts. How many do you think you want? How many will you wear in a year? She's like, okay, 3. Okay, so we need to get rid of all the rest. So pick the 3 that you want to keep, and then we'll go from there. So sometimes it's get rid. I told Miss Birdie, I said, get rid of 4 crystal dishes for every 1 you're going to keep.
So do you do it all by hours, or do you do like by house?
Hours usually, yeah, because you can spend. It depends on how fast people work, and I charge $45 an hour for 1 organizer, and a minimum of 3 hours, so $135. Mm-hmm. And so for 2 organizers, it's $90, minimum of 2 hours.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Do you ever get like special finds? Like, oh wow, this is a prized something that you could auction.
Oh, all the time. All the time. The most interesting is I helped this lady, and I think she was 88, and she said she fell. And I want to say I want to help people move before it's too late. But usually what's happening is that grandma falls, breaks her hip, and now what do we have to do? Now we have to go in and move. So then I'm going in, and they're in tears because they can't even walk, and they need help. So one lady, this is what happened. She's like, I need to downsize. I want to start, which this is when I just started. I want to start with boxes in the basement of my childhood. Well, for one thing, I didn't know her that well. So I know that let's start with the garage, or let's start with the living room. So we go down to the basement, and we open up these, and she just looked at this. She found a receipt of when she was born, and it was from St. E's, and it was just handwritten, and it said $15, just a handwritten receipt. That's all you get. And then there was this belt underneath there, and she just shook her head. And she said, I don't even know why I kept this. I go, well, what is it? And she said, it's the belt that my dad used to spank me. Why? And then I said, well, you know that you don't need to keep that. And she said, oh yes, and trashed it, and we went on. She probably didn't, she hasn't told her kids. She didn't tell anyone. So that was just amazing find.
Do you find a Picasso?
Not yet.
Let me know.
Yeah. Lots of
I lost
antique items. You know, people, seniors always want to share their antiques or their history, and they often say, my kids don't care. So I just listen, and then when you're done, what do you want to do with it? You know, are you going to display it? No, it's been in the bottom of this box this whole time. Well, then it's time to get rid of it. My last client, we did find her receipt of when she bought her first house, and I think it was 1910, and it was $6,000, and it was just handwritten too. It's just amazing. But then we get into tax returns, and I know that, you know, what you need to shred, and I can usually take a tax return box and know what to do really quick. And I'm starting to learn what things are worth, and, you know, just help them along the way. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Were you able to find any of them interested to archive some of their documents?
Well, I always suggest, you know, some quilts and different things that they have found, or handkerchiefs. I'm like, let's put these in a frame and frame them. I mean, if you want to keep this, then we should display it somehow. And newspaper articles, I'm thinking in one in particular was when Kennedy was shot and assassinated, and he thought that was really interesting. And then it's like, what can we do with this? And he took it to the library. So another client I had, he had, I want to say 10 boxes of comic books. And so we took them to consignment. I was like, how many times, how often? And he said every day after school, he went and got a comic book, sometimes 2. I was like, I think you got 3 every time, because we spent hours just putting them in sleeves and taking them to consignment.
Those are worth a lot of money.
So, and he knew which ones. Yeah, so there's really some neat things, and everybody has, I want to say, we all have something that we collect, and whether it be documents, or I did have a client that was a doctor, and he had 3 different offices because he basically outgrew all of his office, and his wife called me and said, we don't have any room at our office anymore to see patients because he's taken up every room. And we started, and he told me he can't throw anything away because he does presentations, and he did not throw anything away. And since that time, he's called me, wants me back, but I'm like, you gotta throw something away. You gotta throw a piece of paper or something away. So sometimes he is a collector of books, and that's fine if that's what's important to you.
Last question.
I don't know about somebody else.
No, go ahead.
I'm a philatelist. I'm a sampler, and I've done this for years, and I have my grandfather's collection. And I'm trying to decide what to do with it now. Lincoln Stamp Club will help assess that. So as you go through people's things and you run into people who have collectibles, do you make recommendations on what you should do with those?
Yeah, and I can tell you, I would call a certain person to have him come look at it.
But the guy who's head of the Stamp Club and I just went through a house from somebody both you and I know from church, Mark Miller. He had one whole bedroom full of stamps that were just piled in boxes. including a set of Grand Zeppelins, but that's another story. Each stamp's worth about $1,000. And Mark and I spent 2 days just trying to do some sort of sorting. You run into those scenarios, and then how do you handle those?
Well, and I do this sorting, but if I don't know what it's worth, I usually
Bring in something.
just connect them to the right person. And most of the time, the people know, like
I'm gonna put information down.
yes.
My friend Judson Bylene says I gotta get something done before I get hit by a beer truck. So I wanna have mine in place so that when the time comes, whoever's there to go through it knows what to do with it.
Yes.
You make those recommendations.
Yes. Yep. And there's places that you can call for, the stamp.
Or
Yes. Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you. And Wendy, as a thank you, we want to add to your clutter
Oh,
by
good.
donating a Focus Sweet mug to you.
Great,
So
thank
thank
you.
you for being here today. And what are we drawing for?
Well, we have some bins, some organizing bins. So we have 3 different sizes. So I'll just grab. Oh, Joe. Joe's lucky. You win all the time.
He wins all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Boy.
Omega. Tracy.
Tracy the winner. Now for the big organizing stuff.
Yes.
I need a dumpster sized tub.
And Ben Ferris. I'll just throw it over.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I know that when I die, my wife's going to have to deal with my beer bottle opener collection, and I'm sure it's worth a fortune. Anyway, thank you for being here. Please hang around as long as you like. There's no need to run off. Meet somebody new, exchange business cards, and if you're not on our email list, give me your card before you leave. Thanks for being here.